Welcome to Can Angels Fly, Tarot, and More, taught by me, Nancy. This is a tarot channel, but on this channel we cover more than just tarot. At this point in time, I'm waiting for the health of the live stream to correct itself. While it's doing that, I'll submit my personal plugs. If you're ever interested in ordering your own personal tarot reading, just contact me at my email. My email is canangelsfly1@gmail.com. I ask you to please like, to share, and to subscribe to my channel. And if you're ever interested in submitting a love offering, that is financial support, feel free to do so by locating my Cash App Me link below this live stream and or any other video that I make. You can also find my Cash App Me link on my home page in the upper right hand corner. Thank you. The health of this live stream just corrected itself. So we'll begin this live stream around the 3-minute mark. I'm waiting to see if anybody comes into the room. Guess while I wait for people to come into the room, I can make this announcement. Excuse me. This is a part 2. So obviously it's like a 2-part series dealing with or covering the concept of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. As I was finishing up with part 1, all of a sudden everything on my side froze. My computer just totally froze. Everything froze. And it has taken me about 2 hours, I guess, an hour, 2 hours to get back on. Well, I can't just fully say it just took 2 hours to get back on. I went through a process before getting back on here. It almost seems like divinity stopped me in my tracks as I was about to say something or report something that wasn't true. So when the last live stream ended abruptly, I of course start cussing and fussing, because that's what I do. And so I was cussing and fussing at YouTube, cussing and fussing at the archons out here in the ethereal realm, and just trying to, get my laptop to act right. There's no reason for it to act, mess up or malfunction. It is brand new, but that doesn't matter. Anyway, as I was cussing and fussing, I began to get like downloads, and it did inform me, the information that I received informed me that I was about to report incorrect information. And so it stopped me and it ministered to me, and so now I'm coming back with a part 2, and I'm gonna finish up my part 1, but with the new information. So I would say we're gonna start at the 3-minute mark. I've talked so much that I'm actually almost at the 5-minute mark, so I'll come on at the 5-minute mark. It's 4 minutes and 30 seconds, so we're in the countdown. Hello, again. Welcome to Can Angels Fly, Tarot, and More. I'm Nancy. If you're new to the place, I guess I can start this live stream off summarizing what I covered in part 1. What I covered in part 1 was that there is, I believe, a misrepresentation and the miseducation, misunderstanding about what the divine feminine as well as the divine masculine really is. In part one, I tried to explain that the divine masculine and the divine feminine are not people in their highest expression. They don't have a physical vessel. What they are, for lack of better words, are sets of consciousness, or a set of information that is consciousness. It is a form, they are a form of intelligence. And that these two forms of intelligence are spiritual counterparts. They are our one of our original really set of twin flames, original twin flame partnership. Oh, I know it's almost winter, but I've been sitting here for a while, and all of a sudden, it's a huge spider climbing overhead. Now, I try to be merciful. I'm off the subject matter. I try to be merciful because I believe in life, and so I'm supposed to live what I believe. But enough is enough. I stepped outside as well when I was on my break, and it was one of the biggest spiders I ever seen outside my house, and it was weaving this huge web between my house and the first pole on the other side of the driveway. And it was a big spider, but I was like wondering, what is the spider trying to capture with such a large web? All I could think of, I said, well, this spider must be pregnant or expecting or something. Because, I mean, it was weaving. The web had to be about 5.5 feet across and at least heading toward a foot wide. Huge spider. Humongous web. And now here's a spider above my head. I guess it's to be expected. Now that winter's setting in. Don't want no spider bites. How merciful can I really be? Especially if you're going to come right over my head, spider. Oh my God. Come on. You want to go on to the next round, I'm going to help you. And all I can do is ask, that's right, walk away. Go out how you came in. I do have a subject matter. This is a part 2. But I'm waiting to see what the spider gonna do, because I might have to act up in here. And it's just going around and around in a circle. Oh gosh. Okay. And then it's the person, the local native, walking down the street singing like military cadence to himself. Oh, Lord Jesus. At least there are no motorcycles. Okay, spider. Where is my broom? The broom is downstairs. Let's see. Both brooms downstairs. Fly swatter in the other room. That's a pretty big spider. Oh, Lord. As soon as I go live, every single time, phone ring, people come. Now the spider over my head. Can y'all look? And then don't do it. It's doing it, y'all. I'm going to commence with my live stream. I'm not going to turn it off, but I'm about to go get my fly swatter, because enough is a mother suck enough. And I can just see it just want to drop and descend on me. You got to be shit kidding me. Right over my head. All the rest of this house, and you want to be right over my head. Don't stop. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Okay, y'all, I'm going to have to take a break. I'm coming back. Get you something, to sip on. Warm, cool, hot, whatever. Fire water. Unbelievable. But But I can't get bit up. I can't do it, y'all. Hold on. I'll be right back. It's going down. Enough is a goddamn enough. Okay, now. I got to move my drink. I don't think I killed it. But I scooped the little ass on. Where'd it go? I scooped him. I gave him as much force and push as I possibly could. So, hopefully, I redirected his energy. I will deal with you later, alligator. Okay. Wow. YouTube. So, what am I talking about? I think I started summarizing or recapping, talking about the divine masculine and divine feminine energy, not on the highest level, being in a physical form, body, or vessel, but each of them are a set of consciousness, or a set of information that is consciousness. And so when I say a set of information, I'm saying that, I don't know, she, the divine feminine, has a set of information. A set of information that reads in spiritual code as being sensitive, receptive, aware, and open. Those are just a very few of the attributes or the information contained within the spirit, we can say, or the consciousness of femininity. The same thing stands true for the divine masculine. The divine masculine is a set of information, and that set of information are things like motion, reaction, assertiveness, directness, and those are just a few examples of what I mean by information. Now, this is something I don't think I spoke about in part 1, but I had to stop for a minute, because since I've been here on YouTube, I have attempted to share my experiences, my spiritual experiences, in words. This video is no different. But as I share in this video, what I'm sharing with you in words are instructions in understanding how to see in the spirit, how to hear in the spirit. I did a video about channeling and hearing from divinity and other invisible and intangible forms. And in those prior videos, I talked about how you can, like tell how a being looks, as well as a being's intentions and their essence, as far as if they're evil or good, based on their form of communication, or how they communicate, the energy in which they communicate, the consciousness from which they communicate. This is the exact same thing, but we're talking about something that we hear about all the time, and it's the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So what am I saying? I'm sorry, it's just people in my background talking, irritating. What am I saying? I'm saying that the divine feminine and the divine masculine, we can look at them as spirits, intangible spirits. or we can look at them as consciousness, because these intangible spirits, these disembodied spirits, remember, they're disembodied because they don't have no body, but they do have consciousness. They are information. It is not so much about awareness, being able to perceive something or comprehend. It is the actual coding or the information that is used to create something. That's what these two beings are. And there are so many others. Now, these two beings, I think I mentioned earlier in this video, and I know I mentioned in the first part, is that they are like one of the original twin flame connections that as they descended from the higher realms, the more pure realms. When I say pure, I'm talking about like without form and things like that, without strict order. They were counterparts. They were one unit. They were a singularity within the singularity. In the first video, I talked about the higher realms, like the realm in which our Creator, I'll say heads, because our Creator, based on what I have seen, is not outside of the realm. Neither is it or he or she, the Creator, inside of the realm. A realm, the higher realm. They are the realm. They are the boundary. And I speak of, we can say, divinity as just black as velvet, the blackest velvet you ever did see. And that blackness is all of its consciousness. These two are a part of the consciousness. Another example I gave in part 1 was that death too is a part of that consciousness. And nothing in that consciousness can prevail or withstand divinity or the Creator. It has no power and authority over divinity, the Creator. But these consciousness that I speak of, like what, the divine feminine, masculine feminine, what I say, I mean the divine masculine and divine feminine, as well as like death. There's the motorcycle, not even one from my neighborhood. I done seen enough Harleys to last a lifetime. They remember each of them, death, the femininity, the masculinity, are all sets. Death has a set of information. Masculinity has a set of information. Femininity has a set of information, and so many other things or forms of consciousness. And again, they don't have any control or dominance over the Creator, but they do have dominance in lower realms, such as the one we reside here, that many label 3D here on Earth. Death, as an example, as well as these divine energies to the left and to the right of me, are operations, the operating systems associated with our realm. So where do I go? You know, when the video cut off, it just like really throws me off. So it's interesting. I don't even know if I'm live working, if someone's on here. This is insane to be, and this is like really like at the head or the peak of prime time, and I can't get people in the room, and if so, I can't tell. That's some deep stuff, but I ain't gonna worry about it. What happened for a reason. So okay. Okay, so that's what I was explaining, all of that in part 1, and I was talking about how, again, the divine masculine and divine feminine are not physical beings, but they are each a set of information, or consciousness. Consciousness gives us the information to be able to perceive and to understand and to comprehend, like possibilities. To do what? To create, to perform, that kind of thing. Without them, we wouldn't know how to be assertive in the case of masculinity, to be driven. That is consciousness. And it's only a person that, that has ever had that drive. You can feel it move through you. That is this spirit's consciousness. That awareness, that drive that surges through a person's body only exists because of this divine energy. And it only a person that has perceived and comprehended, like being sensitive to another, can understand the consciousness of the feminine energy. And because a person perceives that consciousness of what it means to really be sensitive, to care about another, that, how can I say, and I talked about this before in another video. Let me stop. I attached 2 cards to this live about the videos that I want to share. One is how to attract your desires. I'm going to read it. It's 2 cards attached. One is, I talked about it in part 1. It's called Ascension 101 Complications, talking about the different dimensions and how each dimension has its own set of information in it, or its own specific conglomerate of information or consciousness. Can't access all consciousness in every realm. So it's things we know here in 3D that we may not know when we get to 7, 8D, as people talk about. I don't know about 7, 8D, but just using the terminology that people know about. So, where was I? Oh, the videos. The one video I want to refer you to is that one, Ascension 101 Complications. And that was a live stream. And in that live stream, again, I talked about the various dimensions and the consciousness that you can find in various dimensions. The second video I want to refer you to, if you really want to understand what I'm talking about and to catch up, is how to attract your desire. Again, the name of the video is How to Attract What You Desire. And I published it December 3rd, 2017. Unfortunately, I only got 89 views on it. But it really covers all the 12 universal laws with a primary focus on the law of attraction. The law of attraction is another consciousness or a part of the information relative to these 2. And as I mentioned, I made one other video where I was talking about my own life. It was a TMI, FYI video in which I shared, channeling, what it means to channel, what it means to talk to, unseen beings and spirits. in that video, I was trying to share with words how a person hears from like God or divinity or hi Mimi. I'm not doing readings today. I'm talking about the divine feminine and the divine masculine and twin flames and things like that. But please subscribe and click the bell so when I do go live and read tarot cards that you will be notified. But thank you for dropping by and thank you for even asking. And so in that video I was talking about how like when divinity talks to me, there is a light, like a white light, and the white light just, and think about movies. It's interesting how people come up with these creative expressions. So I'm giving you the deal on how I believe these people know how to create certain creative expressions and things like that, and scenes and films and things. So when divinity talks to me, he doesn't talk to me like you and I talk, you know. Divinity talks to me in a way in which there is a like white light that comes over me. It's narrow, it's not broad, it just focuses on me like a spotlight. And that light that comes on me is what? Can you guess? It's a set of consciousness. How do I know that it's divinity talking to me? Because divinity is connected with, you know, traditionally with love and you know, gentleness, and it's this emotional, physical fulfillment. That right there is a part of the information of its consciousness that it wants to share with me. So when divinity or any other loving form wants to speak to me, it floods the light, the spotlight on me, that white light. And that white light is a set of information. And that set of information consists of all that, of its essence, all of its essence, which says, I am love, and I heal you, I feel you. And in that flow right there, all information that it wants to transmit to me is transmitted to me. The same is true, or something similar is true when there are more darker, malevolent entities that want to speak to me. Its light is like a hazy gray, and it's just like a spotlight, and it flashes over me. And the essence of the being and the intent of the being is known in that light, as that light is what? A set of information. When I talk about a set of information, I'm not talking about like 20, 30 words. No. I'm talking about all that exists from the highest realms down to the pits of hell. That much information. You can't even comprehend it. So, I blessed you back. Thank you for coming back. You see my video abruptly cut off. It abruptly cut off. I'm not blaming it on YouTube because my whole computer and everything just froze up. It just stopped. And after that, I don't know if you was in here, I was cussing and fussing. I was cussing and fussing at everything and everybody. And then, you know, divinity started, you know, ministering to me. So I was about to say something wrong and incorrect in that last video. You know. And so I think that it was not YouTube this time. I don't even think it's this old lame expensive technology. Why? Because divinity came and talked to me and I was about to say something wrong. So thank you for being back. I greatly appreciate your support, because if it's left up to YouTube, I'll be sitting on this camera in this live talking to myself. It ain't wrong. Now that is YouTube, that's them. So let me, I've been talking, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I gave your video a like, and thank you so very much. I really appreciate it, and it may just end up helping eventually, because these dirty motherfuckers, I ain't gonna cuss. I'm gonna stop. I'm here at the onset of prime time and got two people in my room. It's amazing. I done fought off a huge spider. I'll be going through it. Hopefully the spider done went on, gone home. Don't bite me. I don't feel like having to go to no hospital and take no medicine. So let me go share what was corrected. I was about to deliver a message in part 1 about, you know, the the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and how the divine feminine is rising. And someone came into the room, was talking about the divine feminine is rising, and I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I was about to report, and how only the masculine energy could be redirected, you know, and prompted to correct itself through its counterpart, which is the masculine feminine. That's when the laptop froze up. I'm on there like, but it wasn't doing. I was like, oh man, it froze. So I'm going through the cussing and fussing. And so after I got through cussing and fussing, Divinity said, you know, let me know you're about to report something wrong. That is not true. And so this is what it told me. This is what it told me. And so I'm kind of going, I think I'm going against everybody on this. But this is what happened, y'all, since that video cut off. It was saying, you know how we were, in the discussion earlier, we were talking about how the divine masculine has basically, that consciousness is fallen from, we can say, grace. It's fallen. Expression, you know, remember, it is a divine energy. That consciousness is divine information, I'll say. Divine information. The information that runs the operating system of this realm. And its masculinity being active, reactive, and knowing how to move mountains and things. Okay, so over time, the masculine energy has fallen very low. It has become aggressive and violent and domineering and controlling. It lacks feeling and sensitivity and things like that. One of the last things I talked about, how over the last I'll say 100 years, I think I said 100 years, the last few 100 years, our world has been ruled by the patriarchal, the line, the masculine line. And it has been very dismissive of the feminine energy. And this is where I will be deferring from many others, is that many believe that the divine feminine is rising. I believe they are saying that due to some astrological alignment. And so that's something that I'm going to go study. But I'm going to digress from following that line of thought. Why? Because of what happened to me when the other video cut off. Divinity talked to me and said, oh no, that's incorrect. This is what's going on. This is what happened. So I'm going to report that until further notice. So, will divine masculine that has devolved and fallen to a lower vibrational expression, something I want this to gotta answer the kid. Hello? Oh, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna be here far as I know, but no, I have not. But it's okay. Okay, bye-bye. Tell you got kids, you can't even ignore the phone. Right. Oh, what a wonderful life. What a wonderful life. So, the divine masculine has fallen to a very low vibrational expression. I'm going to talk about violence and aggression and lacking sensitivity. All of these, like a lack of sensitivity, is something that the divine masculine knows, because you got to remember, it's twin flames with the feminine, divine feminine, and that's what she gives over to him, her counterpart. But our divine masculine has fallen so low in vibration that it has dismissed and forgotten his counterpart. So, Will the divine masculine be rescued? And will the divine masculine be rescued and uplifted by his counterpart, the divine feminine? The answer is no. That's what I was told after the video went dead. No, no. The way I understand it, I haven't had a lot of time to process it, but it seems like divinity was saying, hey, the divine masculine and the divine feminine are counterparts. Even though they are no longer in you know, the lower realms, in that this in your density blended. They're not no longer one. They're no longer twin flames, you know, together. They're no longer the singularity down there. And we're just talking about the consciousness. We're not talking about the personification, the physical man and woman, and the breast and the boobs and the ovarians and the testicles and the testosterone and the serotonin. We're not talking about none of those physical manifestations of or the physical manifestations of the divine feminine and divine masculine. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about the pure consciousness, the information, the operation system. So, will the divine masculine be rescued? Answer, no. Will the divine masculine be rescued by the divine feminine? The answer is no. Even it down in this low, dense, low vibrational space, we could call very sinful, if we like. These entities are still yoked. These intelligences are still yoked here. They are ordained counterparts. So when the divine masculine descended down into its low vibrational expression, so did she. So did the divine feminine. So let me try to see if I can explain. Girl, you said, girl, kids, parenthood, life. So let me see if I can break this down. So I don't want this. I only wrote one note. So I'm just making sure, because I was being corrected. So I was being corrected, so I wasn't gonna cuss. I was like, okay. So, and I was talking about something else, and I know I jumped topics, y'all. And I learned how to stay on topic. So, while divine masculine, let's talk about divine masculine. Remember, we're not talking about the physical vessel. We're talking about the consciousness, the set of information descended down into its the low vibration, low vibrational expression it is now. It was very forceful. Has become again very forceful, very ego driven, lustful, very responsive, vigilant, numb, insensitive, and self-reliant, as it sunk down into more, again, negative, low vibrational expressions and of individualism. At the same time, they're yoked. His female counterpart, the divine feminine, also was falling. And the divine feminine, as it fell, began to express itself negatively in the ways of being like this: lackadaisical, hesitant, fragile, unsteady, cowardly, being dainty and weak, afraid, meek, invisible, timid, forceless, hidden, repressed, and suppressed. So what am I saying? I'm saying a lot of people want to say that the divine masculine has fallen and that it's corrupted. But what people seem to be failing to understand, including myself, until I was just, reproved in between the first part and the second part, is that these entities, these sets of consciousness are twin flames in the highest expression. And they are evenly yoked. They are yoked even down here. So when the divine masculine fell into his low vibrational expression, so did his counterpart, the divine feminine. Will the divine masculine be rescued by the divine feminine? Is the divine feminine rising? Based on what I heard, the answer is no. In part one, I talked about and pointed out how these divine sets of consciousness were or are being displaced, misrepresented, and redirected at this point in time in humanity, and they have been for quite a while. How do I say it? Remember, these two are a whole set of consciousness. And then here I am, there you are. And then there are another 7.5 billion plus people in the world. All of us have access to these operational energies that help to shape our reign. Let me try to say it another way. Me, you, and all 7.5 billion people in this world have access to the consciousness of divine masculinity, as well as we have full access to divine femininity. It is up to us. This is our free will. If we express divine masculinity and divine femininity using its lower vibrational expressions, or if we want to use that the consciousness, the part of the consciousness that is more evolved, like when it comes to divine masculinity, courage, boldness, assertiveness, what do you call it? Hastening. What do I mean? I'm saying either when we, me, you, and the other 7.5 billion people in this world access divine masculine consciousness. Either we can do it through the negative expression, because we know what it is to be self-centered and self-reliant and reluctant and insensitive. We know what that means. We choose to do that. Or we can choose to use the higher expressions of this consciousness, the divine masculine consciousness. And we can be active, proactive. We can be assertive, direct, and forceful for the good. But that's not what we've been doing. Will the divine masculine be rescued? The answer is no. Not if we are looking for the divine feminine, or even the physical personification of the divine feminine's consciousness in our reality to rescue him. It is not going to happen. It can't happen, because the reality is the divine feminine, she's over here. That energy is also being expressed negatively in this physical world. Now me, you, and the rest of the 7.5 billion people in this world, we have access to the divine feminine consciousness, all of that information. Right now, at this point in time in the history of humanity, there is a large portion of the population, no matter what biological gender they are, that are expressing the divine feminine consciousness negatively in ways such as allowing oneself to be lackadaisical, unsteady, afraid, weak, meek, timid, forceless, repressed, cowardly, and repressed. But those are choices. Why is it a choice? It's because just like we know how to execute those type of things as passivity and being afraid and unsteady and lackadaisical. Remember, it's a whole stream of consciousness. It's a pool of consciousness. We know it all. We can express divine femininity using its positive expressions because we have access to the whole pool of information. And therefore, we can be feeling. We can be sensitive. We can be aware. We can be alert. We can be tactful. And we can be flexible with each other. So what am I talking about really as I rant and ramble here? I'm talking about how the consciousness, the information that the divine feminine and the divine masculine embody have fallen to such a low vibrational and negative state. They are yoked together. They are counterparts. They are original twin flames. And both are low. And remember, these, I'll say, entities are not physical beings. They are consciousness. They are information that we that are in the physical embody. We comprehend it, we embody it, and we act it out. And so we've chose to execute the negative expression. If we want to see the divine masculine and the divine feminine rise, then we have to make conscious decisions. We have to make the conscious decision to tap in to the what? Positive expressions or information that consciousness is brought to us in this physical realm. We can be assertive. We can move mountains. We can be sensitive. We can care. Now, right now, I want to talk a little bit about the state of the world. As the state of the world, there are people, entities, beings that have an interest in the state of the world continuing to progress on the pathway, I guess I can say, that it's taking. And we, humanity, this world, we are descending into like a state of hell. But I'll digress from that. And so there are people that have an interest in that. What does it mean? I guess I can't leave that alone. I got to talk about it a little bit. Hopefully I don't forget my line of thought. What am I talking about? I'm saying that right now we are moving from an old paradigm to a new paradigm. I talk about that all the time. I talked about it in Part 1. We are moving into a new world order. I haven't talked in depth about it, but I've hinted to it. So right now I'm kind of summarize what each are. The New World Order consists of all the new laws, rules, and regulations. We're talking about political stuff. We're talking about global relation stuff, big stuff. All the rules, all the laws, all the policies, all the regulations being re-established and rewritten to benefit who and in what way. That's what the New World Order is. It is new rules and regulations, policies and laws for all of the law officials to follow. The law, whoever is employed as a law official in whatever way, form, fashion, military, police, whatever, they will follow those. Those are their guidelines, and they will enforce them for those that are in power. Those that are in power that write these laws and things, what will they say? Will those new laws be in favor of those with money? The higher ups, the 2%ers or 1%ers? Will it be suppressive to the majority of the population, or 98 to 99% of the world's population? All of that is the New World Order. We're moving from the old paradigm into the new paradigm, just reiterating things we've already talked about, is a change from the fabric of life. What is the fabric of life? The moral fabric, or the demoralization of the life that we have to live in. It is the changes that you see as far as sexuality, sexual expression, sexual liberation. It has to do with the structure of marriage and of relationships. It has to do with the educational system and how that will be structured. All of these things are part of the new world paradigm. It is not limited to anything. It takes into account every crevice of our reality. Even the music that we listen to, the type of music we will listen to. We have seen it before. We've seen music change. You say, oh, that was the good old days when they really could sing. And now they got mumble rap. You like what they're talking about, what they're saying. They demoralize women. That's the kind of change we are undergoing. And that is the transition from the old paradigm into the new paradigm. Wow, the new world order is coming online. Not only that, these are other things that we've talked about here on my channel. We've talked about 5G. We talked about 5G coming online globally by April 2020. We've also talked about how there seems to be clues hidden in the stars that at the onset of 2020, we may be very well entering into a Great Depression. Similar to the Great Depression of the 1930s. With all of that being said, understand that we're entering all of that using the negative information offered to us by these two entities. And these are just two of the entities, two of the sets of consciousness. There are others. The other consciousness, I gave an example early on here that I could think of off the top of my head, is death, has its own set of information. Same thing with them. It's just that they go together. They work well together. And so I want to talk about why all of that matters. Why? I don't know what a spider is. I hope it ain't nowhere near me. Why? Let me see if I can make it make sense. If I can make it make sense. Over, I'll say the last few hundred years, we are aware that this world has predominantly been ruled by the patriarchal, line, patriarchal bloodline, the masculine line, the male line, the men, predominantly. And over those hundreds of years, as humanity, those that existed at any given time in humanity in the last few hundred years, chose to tap into the negative information associated with masculinity, and became, over time, to try to make it easier, lacked or disregarded sensitivity, disregarded caring, regarded being receptive. And what does that mean? really, what does all of that mean? It says, because humanity, over the last few hundred years, chose to not care about another, nor listen to them, receptive, being receptive. Being receptive means like, when there were a period of time when there were starving people, starving children, the divine feminine energy demands that you be receptive, meaning you pay attention, you acknowledge that there are starving children, and you know that the life requires you to eat. And you know if you don't eat, you starve to death, and it takes about 3 weeks to starve to death. Matter of fact, you don't starve to death, you starve until the point of malnutrition, and then you die. See, the divine feminine knows that and takes that into account. But the masculine energy doesn't care about that. That is not its focus. That is not a part of its predominant consciousness. He's reactive. He's self-reliant. If I'm self-reliant, then you should be self-reliant. If you don't work, you don't eat. So, over hundreds of years, people have increasingly began to starve, to suffer. Their third world countries, there was no one did anything about it. It just became more capitalistic, materialistic, and cold and dry and selfish and egotistical. Lower and lower negative expression of masculinity and its consciousness. At the same time, there were women in the world, the personifications or manifestations of the divine feminine consciousness in the world. And these people, these women, could be men too, that embody the feminine spirit, were suppressed. That's what happened. That's part of its consciousness. It was suppressed, oppressed, abused, made subordinate, subjected. That's how we, the people in humanity, over these hundreds of years, decided to express the divine feminine energy. That's on us. The consciousness is out here for us, is what I'm saying. In order for there to be a balancing of energy in this world, we who people that create humanity must consciously select to tap into the positive expressions of the divine feminine and masculine energy. It is predominantly the divine masculine energy that has brought the life and the people down due to what? Being more, I'll just say, ego-driven, narcissistic, and self-interested. And the only thing, while suppressing the feminine energy, so the only thing that can counteract that kind of behavior is his ordained counterpart, the consciousness of the divine feminine. What does that mean? What does it look like in reality? Let's see in the spirit. In order to come back from where we are and that descent into hell, we who, people that create humanity at this time, in any given time in the near future, have to consciously select to tap in and perceive and comprehend, embody, and execute the positive expressions of femininity. The time is here for us to really care. That's what the consciousness says. The consciousness says being sensitive, being receptive. First, you got to pay attention. You can't turn a blind eye to it. Sensitivity. And then you have to um, that's being receptive. Then you have to be sensitive to a person's needs. Just because I am capable of eating doesn't mean that you may be capable of eating for one reason or another. And I understand that. That's that sensitivity. And it's about being caring and things like that. See, this divine feminine energy is what balances or rebalances these energies, these primary operational forces that shape our 3D reality. Let me try to reword what I'm saying so you truly understand what I'm saying, because I'm not even sure if people ever understand what I'm saying or not. Please leave a comment. Is that in this world, what is required for us, for real, in real time, is to really care. If we continue to be selfish and self-reliant and overindulgent and forceful, forcing negative events to occur in our world, then it's going to get really bad. It's going to get rough. But if we understand that, we want this divine feminine energy to rise, you have to care. That's our consciousness. You have to indulge. You have to be a nurturer. You have to be. Otherwise, if she don't rise, wait a minute, let me see, because I'm not saying it right. Because it's part I'm missing, and I don't know how to say it. Is it possible for the divine masculine to turn things around? The answer is no. The divine masculine right now cannot turn things around. Why? Because his expression is too low. The divine masculine must first be able to imagine, to see, to comprehend and perceive what is taking place in this physical world. The starvation, the hunger, the homelessness, the sickness, the misappropriation of resources, the misuse of resources, and all the other ills that are happening in this world. He cannot see them. Because remember, he's in the light, where his counterpart is in the dark. She's the subconscious. She's the imagination. She can see those things. That's where they're counterparts. He can't see. She can. That's what she gives to him. It's just like, what is it called? I don't want to go too far, but it's called like the Kundalini. This is a spiritual Kundalini. If we want a Kundalini awakening on a global level, this is it. Let me try to explain. First, she has the vision. She grabs the vision. Remember, she is a part of the mind of the subconscious that is connected to what? To that black as velvet, all the absolute divinity, God. She speaks to God. God speaks to her through the mind and the subconscious. All that's stored there. I've talked about it in prior videos. And she gives that awareness to him. Remember, there are opposites. There are polarities. They are ordained counterparts, like magnets. They pull together. She informs him. And then he knows he knows what to do. And he goes into action. That's masculinity. Whatever he goes into action, we're doing the Kundalini thing here now. Whatever he goes into action to do, to manifest, to change, he brings it back home to her. And she nourishes it. She takes care of it, Do you see what I'm saying? That's how it begins. Hi, J07. How are you? Welcome in the house. Welcome in the house. So, what am I talking about, J07? I'm talking about the divine feminine. I'm talking about the divine masculine. I'm talking about twin flame and twin flame unions. I am talking about ascending or descending. It is completely up to us what we decide to do. But at this point in time in the history of humanity, the way we are, people, the fabric of the life, don't let nobody fool you. We are not ascending, but we are descending. Do we have to descend? The answer is no. Now, that descension, understand, will have an impact and influence upon generations to come. You might be here for a while. You won't probably be here always. But you might reincarnate back in here. So you wouldn't want to come back here when it's really all hell and broke loose. Anywho, so what am I saying? I'm saying that it is the divine consciousness, not particularly per se a person. It is not per se a woman that, but that is the physical manifestation or personification. It is, but it does not have to be a woman. It is the feminine energy. We all have feminine energy. We all have the capacity to care if we are aware, if we tap into the consciousness, if we let it flow, if we respect it. See, for hundreds of years, we didn't respect that part of the consciousness. We suppressed it. That's word golden. Negative expression, we suppressed it. And for many of us, it's, like for them, it's repressed. His feminine part is repressed due to years of suppression. So, another thing I want to talk about, because I started talking about it, is about how the consciousness, these two sets of consciousness, these counterparts, that they are, the consciousness of it is being, people are being miseducated, and or the energies are being misrepresented. Let me give you an example. And it's no offense to anybody that's in an alternative lifestyle. That's on you. That ain't got nothing to do with me, and I ain't talking about you. But I'm just bringing it up that there are men that, like, I can't remember the actor's name, the sports person name, but cross-dress, like Dennis Rodman and, was it Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner or something? Cross-dress and, take hormones, whatever they do, men that are women, men that are attempting to be women or trying to be women or desiring to be women or living as women. I think that's it. Men that desire to live as women. Okay. I'm talking about such things as that. That is a misrepresentation of the divine feminine. That's what I'm saying. It's it's a poor representation of the divine feminine. It is an insult to the divine masculine. Let me explain. The divine masculine, remember, it's a consciousness. So, the divine masculine is assertive. It's direct. It's bold. And it's very aggressive. So if a person has incarnated into this physical realm, personified with the biological makeup of a man, remember that when I say personification of the biological makeup of a man, the only way a man's body is structured the way it's structured and have the testicles and the testosterone is because it comes from the divine masculine consciousness. Only reason why. So, to reject that, like with a dress, is an insult to divine masculine. I need you to understand what I'm saying. How can I say it? Because I know, folk, y'all not going to understand me unless I make this make sense. Even if a man is in a dress, how to say it? Even, I'm going to say it, but I'm not sure it's going to come out right. Even if a man, you know, is in a dress, decides to wear a dress, or wants to wear a dress, whatever the case may be, that dress does not take his divine masculinity away. If, see, it's so many layers right here, I'm getting tripped up. Because remember, each biological gender still possesses both genders. What does that mean? It's not that, let me stop. I'll come back to the cross-dressing or trans-dressing or whatever. Let me come here. First, I need to talk about how each biological gender, male or female, girl or boy, each of them have both the divine and divine feminine and masculine energy. What does that mean? I'm not saying a girl is, what do you call it, like a hermaphrodite. I'm not saying that in the physical. I'm not saying a boy is I don't know, is it called a hermaphrodite as well? I'm not saying that. Let's draw back to the boy, the girl, or the man and woman. Each gender, each biological gender possesses the consciousness of both of these entities. What am I saying? I'm a woman. Physically, biologically, I'm a woman. But my consciousness, the information that I am tapped into while in this physical 3D realm, consists both of the divine masculine. I know how to react. I know how to respond. And I know how to be forceful. As well as the divine feminine. I can be caring and sensitive and nurturing. But I have a predominant nature biologically, and that is the feminine personification, the manifestation of femininity. I have those things. But then it goes even deeper. It goes even deeper. Astrologically, I was pre-programmed to have many masculine traits, as my sun and my moon and my rising are all masculine signs. Aquarius and Leo are both masculine signs. So, just from an astrological standpoint, I do carry more masculine. Who is this coming to my house? I hear somebody walking. Masculine traits. Well, that change, that's different for different people. And so back to men that prefer dresses. If a man is in a dress, still complicated. If a man is in a dress, I'm going to just say that and then jump on the other side and try to come back. If a man prefers to wear dresses, he's still personified as a divine masculine. But even though his predominant biological manifestation, the physical vessel, like a man is built, is present. Remember, that man, mind, we're going to talk about the mind, has both the masculine and the feminine consciousness. It is the mind that we're focusing on now. We're talking about a man in a dress. His mind. His mind possesses both the feminine and the masculine consciousness. Based on who he is, determines which spiritual gender is predominant in his mind. Like I was saying, as far as astrology, I'm predominantly masculine. Sun, moon, and rising. So, same thing stands here. If a man in their mind are predominantly masculine, they are going to mentally the way they think, the way they communicate, the way they act will be more masculine. I think I said something wrong. I had to figure out what I said wrong. I think it's the insult to the dress. I might have said that backwards. So let me show you what I mean. So we have a man that prefers to wear a dress. In his mind, not just about, we know his physical body is male. We know he likes to wear dresses, but his mind is split. But predominantly, it's masculine, and then it's always a little femininity in everybody. You know, it varies. So we have this person that has a predominant mind of masculinity. What does that mean? Masculinity says that this man in a dress, this is what I'm trying to say, this man in a dress is still going to be expressing the consciousness of masculinity relative to the time period he lives in. What do I mean by the time period he lives in? Well, we talked about it. Nowadays, if you align with the energies today, you can be self-reliant, egotistical, and driven. These are the negative expressions of masculinity. Forceful, vengeful. There's so much consciousness there. Let me see. Responsive, lusty, vigorous, different things like that. But it can still very, very. Another term that goes with the consciousness of divine masculinity is to be courageous and brave. This is a man in a dress, but his mind is predominantly masculine and mildly feminine. So that person is what I'm saying would be predominantly expressing the masculine energy even in a dress. Now, let's talk about that same person if his mind was predominantly female or feminine. It's a man personified, the divine masculine energy has personified in the physical form, which is a man's body. This particular man likes to wear dresses. And this particular man's mind is predominantly female. So we got a big, bold, buff man walking around in a dress with the divine feminine traits. Very fragile, unsteady, possibly, somewhat emotionally, afraid, meek, forceless, repressed, that kind of thing. And what am I saying? Let me see if I can try to clarify what I'm saying. Remember, I just got this information during that break. I'm saying that, how to say, so I want to say, it's something, I had to think on it. The dress is, as you see, in most cases, how do I say, irrelevant to the higher, the consciousness, the higher expressions of the consciousness of masculine and feminine energy is irrelevant. But on the low mundane level, it is relevant. Oh man, so many layers. As we are doing what? Let's see if I can express it like this. We are moving from the old paradigm into the new paradigm, where the fabric of life, or the fabric of life is changing. Sexuality is being redefined. And it's being redefined. I'm still talking about this man in his dress. Sexuality is being redefined. Oh my God, how can I say this? As we move from the old paradigm into the new paradigm. How can I say? Maybe I can say it like this. There's no excuse. See, I need to go to the other side and talk about women too. But I'm over here. I don't want to lose my line of thought. That there is no excuse for humanity. If we select to continue to use the negative expressions of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, it is on us. But we will have the karmic effects And the karmic effects are the descension into hell. I'm trying to take my time. Thank you for your patience, one people. Thank you for coming back too. But the man in the dress. Now, see, it's a correction that happens there. That's the catch. It's a correction that happens there. How can I talk about it? There's so many layers. It's a correction that happens there. What am I saying? I'm saying nowadays we have a lot of, and I guess I have to pick on you, y'all. My guinea pigs, men in the dress, whoever you are, I love you, but I get to use it for, try to make it make sense. So it's a lot of men in dresses nowadays, and I think it's more prevalent nowadays because we're more liberated, out in the closet, those kind of things, except me for who I am. Okay, so as we've got to remember, we're very low vibrational, and I'm not just talking about the men in dress. I'm talking about humanity overall. I'm talking about the life overall is low vibrational, descending down hell. So a man in a dress is relevant to the times, and it's no insult, but it goes together. But as we who, every individual in humanity, including men in a dress, as we evolve, see, I'm talking spiritually, I'm trying to straddle both the physical and the spirit. I'm trying to talk about the lower vibrational realm as well as the higher vibrational realm, using y'all as my guinea pigs or examples. So I do apologize again. I ain't picking on y'all, but y'all are my guinea pig. I know folks sensitive. As we, humanity, if we decide to ascend, if we really decide to tap into the more positive expressions of both of these entities, we will begin to rise. And in that resurrection, there is a balancing. A balancing of what? Our physical expressions or manifestations of such divine entities. In that case, what am I saying? The men in dresses, most likely, based on fashion, wouldn't want to wear dresses. Why? Because it would be too delicate for them. As, how can I say, men would be more in love with their masculinity. See, men now, many men are not in love with their masculinity because it's so low vibrational. It's violence. It leads to death and hatred and abuse. So who would want to fill those shoes? But see, the highest expression of masculine energy or the masculine consciousness is about being courageous, about, being responsive. When I say responsive to what? I'm talking about what she said. She said, go over there and care for them people and feed them. You know what I'm saying? Help them move, help them relocate here, help them get the supplies, that kind of responsive, But that's in the higher expression. Who want to fit in the masculinity shoes when it's saying hate, harm, kill, destroy? Even for men, protect your woman from a person with a gun. Is you crazy? I become a man in a dress. I'll do what I gotta do. So what am I saying? I'm saying that many people, men primarily, and there's women too, that are sacrificing their relationship with either the divine masculine or the divine feminine because it is being misrepresented. I don't know if it made the best sense. And so I didn't quite get the man in the dress part out. Hopefully I can clarify. I got about 30 more minutes to talk about the message I got. And so I think we want these twin flames to come back together. They are yoked. They will forever be yoked. They are one. They are made to be together. But we want them to actually come back together. For these divine energies to come back together, divine masculine and feminine, there will be a balance. There's a balance now. It's all negative. But we're talking about a positive expression, balanced, and then a blending of the energy, a perfecting of the energy. The perfecting of the energy leads back to the twin flame that we always so romanticize about. And so talking about that's what I think I was trying to talk about, was the misrepresentation of masculine energy and how it is an insult on the low vibrational realm for a man to wear a dress, because that dress does not, how I keep losing it, that dress is not, I almost had it, hot dang if I ain't forget it again, masculine. Just remember, Nancy, just leave the dress alone for right now. Okay. So divine is not just divine masculinity, it is the balancing. Lost that thought that quick again. Wow. So the divine feminine, maybe if I go over there and mess around with her, I'll remember. The divine feminine is, remember, it's not a physical body. It is a set of information that brings us consciousness. It lets us know that things, what is possibility. You take your pick. It's a pool of information. And so at this time, the parts that we are accessing relative to the divine feminine is that we suppress. We are afraid to stand up for what we know needs to happen. Like, we know there are people that are homeless, but we're scared to stand up and rise. See, we know, but we're not rising. You know what I'm saying? That's the balance, and that's what I'm trying to get. We know that there are homeless people. We know it get either real cold outside or how outside. We know it. And we feel it in the pit of our stomach. But we don't do nothing. That right there, knowing and doing, is the balancing and the blending of these two divine energies. Only through that balance of knowing and doing will we ascend. Anything less than that, we are guaranteed to descend. And I've been talking about how, we gonna descend, and like, I'm gonna look like a fool. I know I am. I'm gonna look like a fool as we descend, because you can't identify the ascension. You really can't identify the ascension either. But let me tell you why you can't identify. Did I? I don't think I did, but I guess I did. The ascension. As this world, remember, I was talking about the old, moving from the old paradigm into the new paradigm. I was talking about the new world order. Now, if those two things right there are what's creating our hell, are you going to be able to see it? Let me see if I can reframe that and say it another way. It's a new world order. That's all the rules, laws, regulations, policies, and what you call them, amendments and different things like that, the different laws and, all type of laws and stuff. If the laws that are being written do not make life easier for you, well, you know you in hell. When you go file your taxes and they tell you got to pay every year money that you ain't got, or you might try to, somebody might, try to sue you, and the law is so bold that it's really look like it's going to end up in their favor. And it does. Would you know you in hell then? Let's say you owe child support and the court you make minimum wage, and the new law say that whoever your children is get 95% of your earnings. After you pay that, will you know you in hell? You probably will, but the next man won't. They won't even care. That's what the new paradigm is. Either we become conscious now and balance these two energies that are yoked. If one is down, the other down. If one go up, one go up. We must balance them. What does it mean balancing? Is that we know that there's a low expression of these spirits, and we also know it's a high expression of these spirits. We know historically we've been using the low expression of this masculine energy and suppressing another low vibration or expression of the feminine energy. We have I mentioned it, the right to use the higher expressions. And because this has been a predominant energy that brought us down, we're going to use its counterpart to bring us up. And that means that we have to care, we have to be aware, and we have to be receptive. We have to be receptive to what? The New World Order, all the laws, changes, rules, and regulations. We have people that say you shouldn't vote. You shouldn't vote because it don't matter. This energy says you better pay attention and you better be receptive. And our counterparts say, hey, you better act. You better move. You better go vote. You better do something. Otherwise, you're going to fall. So, I want to talk a little bit about voting. I'm not saying you got to vote or I'm trying to tell you who to vote for. But what it seems to me, but I could be wrong, my education is outdated, is that we have a system in place. And that system deals with the electoral college, I guess that we tell who we want them to vote for the presidential election, is the, what do you call it, the Congress and the Senate and all these different divisions or parts of that, of the governing system. So that system is in place, is what I'm saying. It ain't going nowhere. In order to have voting not count, that whole system would have to be destroyed. Since we know that is a standing system that has been there for hundreds of years, 100 years, since when? Well, it started in the 1700s, building it up, started over there in Britain or something, with the parliament and all that, and coming over here, all that been built up over that time, right? So we know it's a standing system. It's going to continue to regulate us. But people saying they don't want to vote, they don't want to be involved because it doesn't count. Well, obviously there are not enough people being active and receptive and responsive to what is taking place. And therefore we do what? We fall. But the reason I bring up voting again is because people are talking about not voting. And based on my understanding, which is limited, y'all let me know, only thing gotta really count is one. One breaks the tie. Only one person has to adhere to this standing structure, and it works. So we can do what? We can, be receptive and react accordingly to a scene. Or we can be suppressed or repress ourselves and be self-centered, self-focused, those kind of things, and we can descend. This is the reality. Understand that we are always using these platforms of consciousness, but we're using them poorly. Oh, I know what I'm saying. And we're using them poorly because we're being miseducated about them. That's kind of why I'm making this video, this live stream. It's to let you know these, on the highest expression, the highest physical plane, these are not human beings. They don't have physical vessels. They are information that is accessible to us in our realm. These sets of information help this system, this whole world, this realm operate. That's what you must know. A physical woman and man are physical manifestations of this consciousness after this fell down to its lowest form. So, understand. That also helps you understand what's taking place on a sexual level down to its lowest form. Okay. Another thing, if I can remember. See, as soon as I remember, I forget. And when I get off of here, I'll remember. So, anyway. That's all that's a pass. Okay, I remember. I know what I gotta do. For some reason, I get stressed out when I make videos. I don't know. Anxiety level goes up. I think because there's no growth. That's probably it. Probably it. There's so much I want to talk about. There's some things I can't talk about because it would be insulting to many. I'll let it go. Life will teach. Don't let me see. Something else I need to say. Can't remember. Let me see if I wrote something down. I'm trying to go with the flow. I wanted to talk about, I know, the feminine energy, the feminine information, the feminine consciousness. What about the man in dress? I kind of finished it. Men in dress, like I said, in the upper plane, it's irrelevant. Number one, ain't no clothes and ain't no physical body. Down in this plane, it is a representation of the fall of, the masculine, the divine masculine. That's what it's a representation of. That's why it's an insult on this level. Because, again, it's a insult to the divine masculine and what the consciousness embodies. I hope that makes sense. Now, the feminine energy, or the feminine consciousness, is just as powerful as the masculine consciousness. Remember, we're talking about pure information, knowledge, awareness. You must comprehend what it is. You must comprehend its power. Very powerful beings. So, I want to talk about the divine. It was something else I was supposed to talk about, but I can't remember. The divine feminine, as far as, how to say, I kind of want to look at like the political arena, because people are like interested in voting for a woman, first woman in office, being powerful, rebalancing the world. The question is, will she? Will she? Will, if, let's say hypothetically, case scenario, a woman wins the primary office of presidency. Remember, each biological gender has both sets of consciousness, the masculine and feminine consciousness. Even though a woman takes office and she's a woman biologically, what is the predominant spirit of her mind? There could be a woman that gets into office and her predominant spirit of her mind is also an expression of the divine feminine. Therefore, she would care. She would be receptive. She would be prone to be caring and receptive and nurturing and things like that. But we also have to look at, this was complicating things for me, is that the life is in a particular state of health and the health of the life itself is poor due to our works and deeds. The moral fiber has changed. So therefore, the consciousness that we attach to or resonate with relative to like just these two beings is the lower expression of these beings. And so back to a woman who enters into the political seat of presidency or whatever it's called, but enters with a mind that is just like the masculine, is predominantly masculine, possibly like mine. You know, sun, moon, and rising, all masculine signs, Leo and Aquarius. But the person enters, the person that wins, the female, the woman, in a biological body, female body, wins, but their mind is predominantly masculine. Similar to all the rest of the masculine expressions of nowadays, which is what? Self-reliant, egotistical, violent, those kind of things. So, would that be helpful to humanity, to the world or humanity? The answer is no. And so, how can I say this? See, life, you gave it to me, and then, okay, I can't remember everything. So, what we're looking for right now is what we need. What we need. There's a difference, actually. We have to have an uprise in, I'm talking about humanity overall, in humanity's consciousness. See, these aren't the only two beings or sets of consciousness. There are many others, many other spirits. Humanity overall is demented, I guess I can say, and overall humanity needs to be healed. So as we move forward in life, all we can do, unless we heal, is perpetuate the illness, the trauma, the dementedness in every plane of life. There are few people, I told y'all, I testified about what happened to me March 6th, was that 2016, about how there were many people all over the world that God, or whoever the creator is, tapped into us all simultaneously and had us praying and all that. You can find that video where I share about that. It's called End Time. Was that the End Time video? I think the End Time video, End Time Prophecy or something. And so what I'm saying, there are many people that are all over the world that are the salt of the earth. I understand that now, that statement from the Bible. There are people that are the salt of the earth. But how do you, this is another thing we're dealing with. And I know I'm all over the place, y'all, but another thing that we're dealing with and that we talked about on this channel is that many people don't have the gift of discernment, and you're not developing, not y'all, but many people are not developing the gift of discernment, being able to see, seeing through the veil, you know, those kind of things. Another thing that, and I talked about it, many people are very biased. I've talked about it in detail in many different ways. People are biased because of the, many times due to the standards set forth by our system. I talk frequently about being, you know, manipulated by the standards of beauty. And how can, let me make sure I say it clearly, because I want people to understand, because something I know is about to transpire and I'm not even sure I'm doing my part right. That's how it be. What do I mean? I'm saying, like, because I use me as an example all the time, that because I do not fit the standard of beauty, I'm not fair skinned or pale. I don't weigh 100 and I don't know what's the going weight, 105 pounds. I'm not a, what is it, 36, 26, 36. I don't have long hair, naturally long hair down my back. And, you know, all the charms that Venus would grant a person. I am not considered beautiful by the social standards. And because I'm not considered beautiful by the social standards, therefore I'm not received well by others. I am not respected by others. I am not celebrated by others. I am not, there's a word, celebrated, acknowledged, just a whole host of appreciative gestures that you can have in this world. Like favor, that doesn't come easily to a person like myself. I'm not the only person in the world. That's the majority of people in the world. There are only few people that are granted with this extraordinary gift of beauty as that aligns with the standard of beauty. And then there's some even fewer that actually just possess the spirit of beauty. Okay, that's a reality. So, what am I saying? Hell, I forgot my line of thought as I try to express myself. We are living in an Aquarian age, though. Isn't it our responsibility to redefine standards? Yes. But first, people have to awaken. They have to be conscious. They have to be aware of the brainwashing. Many people are not. That's what I'm saying. They're not developing the gift of discernment or anything like that. They are stuck. They are stuck in their mindsets, and they won't give them up. They won't give up the mindsets. Even though the mindsets are proving destructive one way or another in their reality, they won't release it. And that is what's also contributing to the fall of man, or the continuous fall of man. Because we need the people that create humanity to be proactive in all of this. This whole thing, this life and this experience is a collaboratory, I think is the word, effort. We're all contributing to this reality. And not only are we contributing to this reality as we know it now, we're also contributing to the reality of our future and the distant future. Therefore, future generations. And if we come back here, the reincarnation of ourselves. And so what am I saying? We are messing ourselves up. Let me try to make that make sense. The truth. How do I know that we are not ascending? How do I know that we're not being successful? Remember, I was a part of probably millions of people all over the world that were linked into divinity all at one time, and praying and getting the message and stuff. And how many of those people are being heard? You know, I look around here on YouTube and I found a few people that I know, whether they are conscious of it or not, that they were a part of that group, and I could tell by their message. I could tell by their message and the passion and everything and the information itself that they were a part. Now, are they aware that that's what was taking place? I just happen to be up and active, and whoever I am, you know, as a spirit, I was allowed to see. I talk about going to hell and being awakened in hell and being allowed to see and perceive to report. So, same thing, you know, so that might just be a part of my makeup. And so, just a few people that I have, you know, found here on YouTube, because I was searching. I was like, man, because I know what I experienced. And a couple of things that I came to realize, you're talking about the age of Aquarius and stuff, is that all of these millions of people, or many ever people was, all over the world that, you know, received that divine revelation at the same time, back in March 6, 2016, that, you know, I'm sure God was selective, or the creator, whoever it is, was selective about who was invited to that revelation. And each of us, remember, this is all over the world. So people all over the world came from different backgrounds, races, creeds, religions, just different influences. So we know God wasn't biased about that. We was all inclusive. Then one person I ran into, and the message they were delivering, it was just about the same, but it was something extra there. And what was extra there is that this person had a very racial biasness to the message. The message I got was all inclusive. This person was racial. The message was seasoned and ministered to those that followed them through a racist lens. I was like, wow. That was scary to me. I was like, man, this person got the message too. The exact same thing. It's impossible for us to have the exact same thing. And was it the election time period? It was March 6, 2016. When was the election? I don't know. I know it was in the wee hours of the night where I am in the United States. And so when I heard this person speaking, giving the message through a racist filter, I realized one thing that God didn't force upon us was like taking away our filter. You know, that person obviously had racism as a part of who they are, their makeup. God didn't take that or suppress it. So I was like, God, what is that? I said, now, the persons that are receiving this person's message, you know, more now, hold on. It was what I done dealt with. I'm eating peanuts, y'all. This person that was delivering that message, the same message I got, they were just delivering it with a racist filter or through a racist filter, had a big following. Why did they have a big following? Well, I guess their following is specific to who they are in this physical realm, especially because they fit some of the standards, acceptable standards in this physical world. So I bring up their big following because out of their big following, how many people 100% believe them? Because this story I'm telling, it don't seem like many people believe me. I ain't got a big following. But I know it's somebody out here that, like, I kind of believe her. But this person probably got more people to believe them. Why? They already got a big following. They fit more of the standard. But this is my scary part that I'm confused about, is that God let them deliver the message through a racist filter. Like, what the hell is that? I can get the racist filter part. Wasn't about suppressing no particular gender, race, creed, nothing more about nothing like that. So I was concerned about that. But I think I understand. Because by the time I did the astrological interpretations that correspond with that time period that I had that experience, it let me know, like the cleanup process of people's minds come later. You know, I don't know how to say it. Like, we all gave our message out through the filter. No, that is our life and our representation. Push the message out. Message is flowing. I even seen it here on YouTube. Since that happened, I've seen it. It's blooming. Going all over the place. But your time is going to come. This is what I'm getting. That message. And the racist bias filter. And so that means there's other filters out here too. So, what was it? Because I was mad. I was complaining. I was so upset. I started to reach out to the person and say, how dare you? But I was like, it's that filter. That filter. You know how they say you will only gravitate to what you resonate with. So those that have a heart, like this person that I'm talking about, it doesn't matter who I say they testify to. Only those that resonate or share that same filter of biasness or racism will truly link in with that person. There are others that may hear the message and say, that's a mighty good message. It's a mighty, hopeful message. But something about that biasness or racism don't sit well with me. You know what I'm saying? Don't sit well with me. But yet this person had the gift of discernment and got to pick out the gems. They got the message. Therefore, their mind is forever changed. But for those that, they got the message with the biasness or the racism, there's another phase, like a cleansing phase that's going to take place. I would say, once we are aware of what is to be, because that's what it was about, was to be for humanity. If you have such biases as that person have, and maybe I reflected some as well, I don't know, I'm biased, but I know for sure that they had some racist bias filters that they sent the message to. Now, everybody gonna know what's to be for humanity. And the thing of it is, we cannot achieve what divinity shared with the masses that night if we are biased and racist and hateful and selfish and we can't, and self-driven and egotistical and narcissistic. We cannot accomplish what was shared with me and those many others that night. We can't. So that leads me to believe that those that share in filters such as that, such bias and ugly filters, you're also being informed that, it's going to be some problems. There's going to be some power struggles. And this filter is why it's going to happen. I told you what I want. I told you what's going to ultimately take place. You share. But that filter that you put there is the reason that there will be complications and obstacles, battles and wars, all because of filters such as that. It's up to you to remove it. It's up to you to let it go. And we can get on with what we got to get on with to get where we got to go, which is your ascension. Or you can prolong and procrastinate. And we can do it. It's like either we're going to do it the hard way or we're going to do it the easy way. But it's going to get done. And such biases and stuff like that don't make it the hard way. So I'm telling you, the hard way is out here. Either we will see our wrongdoing and change our ways. Same thing, same scenario when it comes to people that cannot discern. If, okay, you have the opportunity, I was talking about a few live streams ago, where we were given this opportunity. I kind of saw it, but then I wasn't sure. Kept asking, like, is it or isn't it? Is it or isn't it what? Were people really being trained or educated in a way that they could have the gift of discernment? Some people are blessed with the gift of discernment, just from a spiritual level. Other people develop it in the course of their life. And other people don't have it. Other people are, I'll say, more preoccupied with the physicality and things like that, no interest. And so, and are easily fooled by this realm and the reality and its deceptions. And so, what I'm saying, everybody don't have to be trained to get the gift of discernment, but there are some. And it appeared to me over the last, it was since 2016, so I'm going to say maybe since late 2017, I have to look back and focus on things like that. But it ain't been that long. It ain't been that long. Let me see if I can remember the marker. I can't remember the marker right off. When, like, it seems like people were being trained to discern. It was something that happened in reality. It was something that happened in reality. I can't remember what it was right now. But it was the onset a commencement with training to gain the gift of discernment, so that you can see through the illusion, so you can identify what is true and what is false. Everybody didn't get it. Everybody didn't want it. So there's another complication that we are all facing. All of these are the kind of complications that is really hindering us from ascending. Remember, some people even believe that ascension was the ascension of the physical body. And I was talking about that earlier. No, it wasn't the ascension. That was another thing that made me real mad. I was like, they know that ascension ain't over the physical body. These people was getting it in. It's about, yeah, you ascending, people getting all upset. Because I'm leaving my loved one, I'm leaving my child, I'm leaving my husband. You ain't going no goddamn where. You're going to be right here on this, or your body going to be right here on this earth. We're talking about the ascension of your mind. Hopefully y'all check out my video I did. It was called something about the life of Christ through artwork. You know, I did the interpretation of Christ's life with artwork. You know, using the various what they call it, artistic periods. You know, like the Renaissance or whatever. You know, and it talks about the ascension process. You know, because at one time it wasn't no. I talked about wasn't no TVs and no magazines and wasn't no YouTube and internet. All they had was some churches, and so they painted all over the place and made sculptures and shit to, excuse me, to tell about all this kind of stuff we can get on here on YouTube now and talk about. So, all this stuff was taking place. Anyway, I know I didn't talk y'all ear off. Thank you for letting me talk y'all ear off. I know it was something else I'm supposed to say. I'm going to forget. But we are going through some big changes, y'all. And the real crazy part, I want to talk about one more thing. The real crazy part about it is, I used to say it in my videos like this because I don't know how to word it. The changes in life, it's like watching paint dry. Watching paint dry. You know, the transitions in life, you really can't see. They're so elusive. Can't see them. So everything that we're going through, that's another thing that we have to start being able to see the transitions. And I gave another example when I tried to explain it, and I talked about, this is a biblical reference, is when Moses went to Egypt and got all the people out, I don't know what they were, all the people out, all the slaves out, and they had to travel through the desert, and they was headed toward the promised land. Now Moses, to them, self-proclaimed, basically. They don't know if he talked to God or not. So Moses moving with these people in the wilderness. They didn't got in trouble, so they going through the wilderness and stuff. And Moses get mad at some point in time because he's stressed out with all these crazy people that he leading. And they ask him all these weird questions. God calling him up in the mountains and stuff. So one day Moses get mad. The Bible says he strike his rod up against the rock, you know, for some water or something. But he wasn't dependent on God for the water, whatever the story say. And from that, because of that, Moses didn't get to go into the promised land after all that. So I bring that up. That's another example. When I say life is like watching paint dry, the transitions of life is like watching paint dry. It's that moment that Moses was told, after 40-something years, you ain't going into the promised land, and died on the outskirts looking into the promised land. That's a lot of us. In part, see, and didn't get to go in the promised land. Ain't that something? All that. And that's what I bring that Moses story up, because that's what's happening to a lot of us. I foresee that happening even to myself. That we're each very significant to the story, to this part of the story of humanity. But even though we're significant, we're also insignificant. Like Moses. Moses was a major part of the story. But he wasn't so major that he got to go into that promised land. So Moses have no idea what it is to live in the what they call it, in the place of honey and milk and honey. You know, all he knew about the desert, but he was doing the Lord's work. Doing the Lord's work. So I can see that, and that's for many of us. And because that is obscure the reality, manna, all the manna, manna. Yeah. Oh Lord. And I ain't thought about that manna in a long time. You know, it got some significance, right? Even today. Sure enough, sure enough. See, all them stories we can go back to and look at. Why? We can look at them different. Land of milk and honey. You ain't get to go there. After all that. After all that. But a lot of stories, like these religious stories that we learned of, would be interesting to go back into. And the reason why, because many of us, when we were introduced to these stories, especially the older generation, they didn't have access to the consciousness. Like, these are conscious figures. This is another space of consciousness we're talking about. Another spirit now, not them. But these are examples. There's other entities of consciousness that they didn't have access to. That we didn't have access to. How did we end up getting access to this consciousness? Well, education. True education. Dang on educational system, you know, it can be messed up in different parts. And higher education began to expand our consciousness. And now, we are that generation that has that expanded consciousness. And now, we can comprehend it. Well, we couldn't. When I was in church 25, how old am I? How old is my son? About 25 years ago. I was comprehending some stuff then, yes it was. But I know it's all the rest of them people in the church was not. When I came there, they was there. When I left, they was there. People I came in with, when I left, they was there. I got to comprehend it. But at first, like when I was younger, I wasn't. Whatever my grandma and mom told me, that's what it was. Okay, this little light of man, that's all I knew. It was not until I sat down and started reading for myself. And not just reading that Bible, but literally using other sources to help me figure out what it was really saying. I really found out what it was saying. And the Christian Bible got a lot of stuff. And I knew it ain't just that. It's other doctrines. Other doctrines. This is something crazy. I wish I was a reader and a traveler. Because there's so many scrolls all over this world. From different sectors or regions. So much information is out here. And most of it was kept from us. What would you say? This is the age of Aquarius. So now we're going to learn. But I'm here to tell you. I'm telling y'all everything I know. But it's completely up to y'all to take heed. Look, everybody ignoring me. Everybody ignoring me. Until it's too late. That's the sad part. Until it's too late. And I had to check myself. I had to check myself. I really have. I have been ignored. Oh, Lord knows I have been ignored. Until it's too late. And I said I had to check myself. Because I realized I got a wicked sense of humor now. I'm like, oh my God, I just realized that. Maybe it's October. Maybe about 2-3 months ago, I got a wicked spirit now. Real wicked. So, like I said, God didn't take that bias filter from that woman. He didn't stop me from becoming wicked. Because I got a wicked sense now. Let me tell you something. And you don't listen. You don't take heed. I don't know about this realm, y'all. It get real deep. It's stuff I ain't talked about with y'all yet. Here's some stuff I ain't talked about yet. Moses didn't get to Canaan, but he got to see God's face to face. He did that. He did that. I'm seeing God face to face, but he didn't get to Canaan. And that, I guess that goes back into what I've learned about. It's really not about the physicality or the physical body. It's about that continues to live on, which is what? The soul. So I guess that's the bigger picture, maybe. Which I got a problem with. I got a problem with that. Because I want to enjoy the physical. Everybody, I think most people want to enjoy the physical. Nobody want to come up in here and not turn up. I have an attitude about that. I want to turn up. Moses wanted to go to the land of milk and honey. He wanted to turn up. And didn't get to. I might be the reincarnation of Moses cussing and fussing. So we don't know if he cussed and fussed and raised hell about not making it there. We don't know. I know I would. I know I would. Well, y'all, again, I still ain't thought about what I forgot to talk about the George. Now, I've been on here over 2 hours, and you just getting in here. You seen that video got shut off, and you ain't come find me again. What's wrong with you, George? And I did the part 2. So now you got to watch the whole thing to understand what happened. Because I almost said the wrong thing in that other video. Life stopped me. And just in that time that video stopped, and when I finally can get back here, life was ministering to me. I was like, okay, because I was about to report something else. I said, oh no, that ain't it. Because when the video first went out, I was cussing. I was like, what's going on, YouTube? I'm howling, fussing. I'm thinking, it's going to come back in or something. Then I start fussing at the archons or anything in the ethereal realm. And so by the time I got up and hooked my laptop from all that stuff, I had a Mandela effect moment. Because I know I done took the battery out of that bad boy before. With no battery to take out. I got to go through a whole process to take the battery out of this mother sucker. I didn't know. All I can say is Mandela effect. I sat on my bed and I'm cussing. And that's when it descended upon me and started telling me, oh, you was about to report the wrong thing. Let me tell you what you're supposed to be talking about. Because what you talking about ain't it. I'm like, well, why I get that information? He told me, you're following. I was following the collective and what they're saying about the divine feminine rising. Because I'm about to report that. That ain't it. I was okay. So, and then I finally made it back. It took me about, I guess, an hour and a half, maybe 2, I don't know. And I finally made it back here. Okay. Reason why Moses didn't get into the land of Canaan is because you was part Egyptian. Me? That's not accurate, George, according to the Bible. No, that's because he hit the rock and made water when he wasn't supposed to. Wasn't appreciative of God. At least that's what I think the movie did. I don't know. I do not know. But I know this much. We got our chance. They had their chance in that Bible. Now we got our chance. I don't know how I really don't. I'm going to tell you honestly, the messages that I be getting, I look around just in my immediate environment and the people that I, pass, how far ever in the distance I go, all the way around. And I just don't see it happening. I'm like, okay, I don't see it happening. I was like, okay, is this a joke, God? Like, is you going to really, I would really like I said, I have a lot of supernatural things happen. But supernatural don't mean that this that I'm experiencing is on the up and up. That's how I feel about it. Because the way I look at it, there's so much corruption in this world. The things that I see, I know I see. Things that I hear, I know I hear. However, it does not mean that it's on the up and up. Because like I talked about the more benevolent type beings that talk to me. Remember, they don't talk with mouth. They talk with information, consciousness, like a light. Flood over. And you perceive the appropriate information that they want you to know. Now, that's my experience. Maybe. Only thing I have to depend on is my experiences over my life. Have these kind of encounters saved my life? Have they saved other people's life? Have they in one way or another been beneficial to me? Have they ever hurt me? Have they ever hurt anybody else? So that's where my trust comes in when, communing with these entities. And they're bad entities, some good entities. And that's why I have the courage to share what I experienced. Because it's been helpful. It just saved my life, saved others, did all kinds of stuff. But there ain't never been nothing harmful. Never. Now, but this is the thing. Them negative entities to suggest something harmful. I got a video out here called Do You Hear Voices? Well, I talk about it in detail. They can suggest something, but they can't make you do nothing. They can suggest something, but you're only going to do and honor what you resonate with. Me, I tell them go ahead. So, we don't have them problems. So, what I'm talking about right now, what am I rambling about? I'm rambling about if what I'm experiencing is real. Just like Moses. What if Moses was a real person? What if his experience, if it's real, then that means it's really going to be an outcome. And it's really all the experiences and everything really going to matter. But if I'm like exaggerating or making things up, it don't matter. I don't know how to say it. Your stuff's so deep to me. It's so deep. It's so deep. It's so deep. It's so much. It's so deep. It's so deep. I don't even know how to express it. It's like, why are we here? Because Moses had an Egyptian wife and children. Maybe. I don't know. All I know is our time. And it's something about you have to profess what your soul resonates with. You gonna profess it one way or another. You gonna act it out. It's gonna seep out. Something gonna come up. Something gonna happen when it comes what you resonate with. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of people resonate with a lot of negative stuff. And that's why I be like wondering, like, does it even matter? If God is really talking to, people in humanity and trying to, give us the head up, give us the information, age of Aquarius, gaining this enlightenment. Does it matter if most people's souls resonate with evil? I mean, because it's a lot of stuff going on here. Like I said, the lady that, I didn't say that, but the person that had received the same message as me, can be perceived as having an evil, malevolent, ill intent, but she don't know it. I just confessed that I have realized in the last 3 or so months that I got a dark side that I understand where it developed and how it came into be, but I have it now nonetheless. It hasn't been many experiences that I've got to activate this malevolent entity that I'm not conscious. I am now conscious of. See, it brought me a consciousness. This consciousness developed. I'm gonna have to make a video about that. Y'all might be scared of me if I'm able to do that. But that consciousness now is with me. And I have, it's only been in the last 3 months or so that I've become aware of it. And now that I'm aware of it and I have it, I haven't had the experiences come into my life, excuse me, that line up with this entity. Because remember, all consciousness don't go everywhere. This consciousness is specific. Like I said, the consciousness is about, like, if I, I'm not just talking about now here on YouTube. I'm just talking about period, across the border in the course of my life. If a person like asks me for advice, information, I do some research, I share something. And I'm talking about, you can't believe everything you hear, but you could take some things into consideration. But okay, say for instance somebody, I give somebody some advice and some information, and they just totally disregard me. Totally disregard me. And then exactly what I say coming to being for real. And all they have to do was, at the moment or the onset when they seen it happening, just do, what we talked about, or some form of it or something to elude hardship or difficulty or some type of deprivation or loss. And then turn around and come back to me. That's the consciousness I have now. That was something I didn't have before. I got it now. And so if somebody come back to me on that, I'll handle it differently than I did in the past. That's scary. That's scary. That's scary. Who that? Pearl?
Pearl.
Okay, you locked the door?
Yep.
Okay, who with you? Hello?
Huh?
Who with you?
It's me.
Oh, I thought you were talking to somebody. It was a donut. A donut. No, I'm on live, and Mr. George asked me what was I stuffing in my face. It was a donut. I went to the gas station around the block, and the clerk was like, "You want a donut?" I was like, "Sure." I was like, "Okay." And it was good. He's like, "This is the best donut. You gotta have it. You gotta have it." I was like, "I don't know. I like the other kind." He's like, "No, try this. Try this." So I was like, "Okay." And so I tried it, and it was really, really good. It was soft. Very, very good donut. Let's see, where was I at? Nobody is perfect. You go through life to heal as you embrace both light and dark polarities. 100% true. Because I've been on the light, in the light, and I've been the light, and I've been the dark. The dark. I have stayed away, tried to stay away from the dark. And that's probably why the dark be trying to come after me. I took so long to come back because I was peeling shrimp. Ooh, you know how long they take. Ooh, you about to eat good. Oh, Ethiopian wife, not Egyptian. Oh, I see. Moses. Oh, what you about to cook? You just about to boil some shrimp, fry some shrimp? What you gonna do? What do you make it? What do you call them? One of my little favorite dishes, like Alfredo. Oh, excuse me, Alfredo. I'm tired of eating the same thing. I need something different. That's why I'm eating donuts and peanuts, and I'm tired of eating the same thing over and over again. There's so many things that we're going to tap into. That's one of the reasons I would just like to live a little while longer. I need only about another 40 years. Just 40, that's all. Because I like to see what's going to transpire. I really want to see. I'm really curious. Or will I be Moses on that mount, not able to move into or go into the land of milk and honey? I don't know. I would like to know. Because I do see interesting future. I do. But I just don't see us, humanity, being that nice to people. I don't see that. I don't see that. I used to believe in that. Not no more. Not no more. Not no more. And then the people that we allow to be in power, you know, and we allow evil, corrupt people to be in power, then we go allow ourselves to be hired to protect them so they can do us dirty or our family dirty. I don't know how we gonna get out of this. It's catch-22, and we stuck up in this mother sucker. So we gonna have to wake up to God. Whatever is really going on, God, our Creator, whoever, they would really have to have good intentions for us, because we in a effed up place. And a lot of people don't even think like I do. I think it's technology. That's right, George. You say, wait a minute. Everybody has a light and dark side. Why did you pins on how much you let it take over? Right. Much like you are pushover. Too much dark, you're dangerous. Perfect balance, yin and yang. That's what we're talking about. Tapping into both the dark and the light. The yin, the yang, the divine masculine, the divine feminine. It has to be a balance. It really does. So that would be an interesting live to focus on the consciousness of light and the consciousness of dark. What does it offer? I did kind of cover that when I did the video of your eyes are the windows to your soul. I ain't be funny. Y'all see my face. I was like, ooh, I think a spirit just passed by me. It's not. Okay. You'll see now. It's the natural order. Natural order. Now y'all see it. I don't know if y'all can see me, because I'm not able to look at myself how, you know, if I'm centered or not. Hopefully I am. But just that quick, I felt a breeze on my back. Like, is that spirit? But it wasn't, because after that was soon followed by a smell, and it's the heat. You know how metal starts to heat up, so it was the heat. But that's the kind of stuff I have those kind of experiences where I have to check my reality. Like, okay, once the breeze came, I was like, is this spiritual or physical? Start smelling, you hear me say, because I don't know if it, you know, originally, because I guess I'm in multiple realms at once. I don't know sometime when it happens, because it just happened out of nowhere, if I'm dealing with spirit or I'm dealing with physical. So you might hear me say, you know, am I hearing, or am I seeing, or am I feeling? So I have to stop, because it's a different, I talked about that before too, in that video I talked about earlier called channeling. Truth Guardian, hello everyone. The Aries is here. Well, hello Aries. Welcome here to Can Angels Fly Tarot and more. I wish I came in earlier, because we're about to end this live stream. But welcome. Please share. No. Not share. Subscribe. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. And click the bell, so next time I go live, read cards, you can be notified, you know. Anyway, I got to take my break, because, you know, I got to go relax, relieve myself. You know what I'm talking about, y'all. I love you. Have a wonderful night. I'll check out the replay. I will subscribe. All right. Thank you so much. Next time. Truth. Next time. I see y'all. Bye, George. Bye, 1, 2. Next time I won't ramble so much. Maybe.